Brought to you by Xuno, a free original sci-fi. Sneak peek at the end.
Sure, Jar Jar isn't well liked, or Rey, or the studio bosses, and sure, there's cries of wokeness and gender politics everywhere, but the psychological difference between fans and studios causing the battle behind the potential death of Star Wars is way more interesting to me, so come with me on a journey. See, when a young George Lucas first wrote The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, he had no intention of making a trilogy of films, certainly not a massive thing like he ended up creating. It had never existed before. After he had indeed made his trilogy, he intended to move on, leaving Star Wars behind. He's on record as saying he didn't want to be known as George Star Wars Lucas. Well, I guess you can't have everything. Besides, he can always wipe his tears away with Fabergé eggs or something. My point is, Star Wars was never intended to become the sprawling sci-fi franchise it is. And it shows. From the man who said continuities for wimps comes the most viciously protected canon in fandom, and I think you can trace much of the drama between angry Star Wars fans and Disney right back to that original moment when a story unintentionally created a franchise. The two are very different and can't be thought of in the same way, and that's what's causing all of this drama. See, Star Wars is an example of what happens when you confuse the two. After Return of the Jedi, Lucas had walked away, and having no thought to protect the wider story, he happily was selling rights to authors to write their own individual books. Technically, this is the point where it became a mythology. But more on that in a minute. See, it's said that it was the success of one of the author's work, the Thrawn trilogy, that persuaded Lucas that there was life in Star Wars yet, the fans were still spending money, and so he went back and he made the prequels on that basis. So goes the rumour. Fast forward a decade or so and Disney is buying that which was once a story, which became a franchise, which because of the volume of different works by different creators had become a mythology. And let me explain a little there. See, this channel is all about creating a modern mythology, because that's what a fandom is. It's a myth culture. And see previous videos I've done on this for more. And a culture is very protective of its myth, its stories. You can't just rewrite Hercules and expect the Greeks to be okay with it. This isn't just Star Wars fans, it's human nature. 50,000 years of conditioning, maybe more. As soon as you see people buying t-shirts and doing cosplay, making fan art or fan fiction, you're seeing them adopting the story culturally. And from then on, you should expect them to be protective of the whole thing. When Disney completed the purchase, they threw out anything not created directly by Lucasfilm. That's it. All those books, not canon anymore. I mean, fair enough, they were protecting their rights, but they were telling a culture, we own your myths now, and we're throwing half of them away. And it went down about as well as you would expect. Now jump to today, and Disney-owned Lucasfilm is putting out a, shall we say, mixed bag of content. But the original trilogy was varying in quality anyway, so that's not really a problem. In the end, what will snuff out this franchise is an inability to think like a mythology, which is what this culture has been formed around. It's the inability to craft a single overall story that thinks more than 3 movies ahead. Given that the sequel trilogy didn't even think 1 movie ahead, clearly, studio bosses are on the record saying that they have no plan moving forward and projects are cancelled as fast as they're announced, the future isn't looking good. And frankly, they don't know where to go with this, which is perhaps why all the Disney Plus series fill in gaps of the past rather than taking the story forward. And if they have any sense, they'll focus there, doing it respectfully of existing canon, of course. But if they focus there, expanding on already beloved characters and allowing the grand story to reveal itself naturally, well, then they can push towards that. Under whatever management has been creating this current mess that we're in, however, I have little hope that they'll do so and be so strategic. Now, right here on this channel, I'm going to be releasing an original sci-fi series of movies that were created specifically to address some of these issues, to be totally fan engaged from day one and to create a modern mythology for the 21st century. And you can help this become a success by throwing me a cheeky subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, maybe a share. But either way, do tell me your thoughts on all this madness from Lucasfilm below, and even tell me what other subjects you think I should cover in this area. And with that, have a great day, and I hope to see you soon.
Everything we've gone through, everything we've survived for it to end like this.